One of the things I did in my life uh, was to bargain with the mining industry in the main. And I has always been guided by a principle of bargaining in good faith. Now, I'm using that as a starting point because if the business in South Africa, including mining, go public and say they support the National Development Plan, one of the things they must internalize is that one of the problems highlighted there is high unemployment, poverty, and inequality. And therefore, any decision they take, if it impacts negatively on those issues, they must appreciate that they're deepening the crisis for the country. Now, if you have a business that says, we support the NDP, but we'll destroy 17,000 jobs. I'm talking of the numbers that have been announced. Talking on both sides of their mouths. And it takes me to how they deal with the industry. You can't deal with a long-term investment industry like mining in a way that is short-term, ad hoc. There's fire underground, fire 3,000. First of all is that I haven't had Sibanye announcing what was the cause of the fire, how far have they with fighting that fire. Because the first thing is to normalize the operation, and safety in any mining operation is a management responsibility with everybody involved, taking responsibility, but primarily to provide a safe working place is a responsibility of the job, and the worker is entitled to a safe working place. Now, that issue is ignored. They don't talk about it. They announce retrenchments. To me, I think Sibanye has put a cart before the horse. And it takes me to a question that says, maybe it's just the rolling out of a plan, because Goldfields take three of its old mines, the deepest mines, West Driefontein, the Driefontein, Kloof, and Beatrix, and make a company that is called Sibanye. To me, it's an amorphous company. Because if it was ring-fencing South African assets, they would have included South Deep, which is new and long life. The exclusion of South Deep, to me, is sending a clear message that it's about ring-fencing the old, deep, difficult mines of South Africa and actually run them down. There's an element of high grading there. And as a result of that, they have taken the money and expanded Goldfields into a global company, which we accept, but now ring-fence back the old mines, the generators of capital that rolled out that expansion. And I think it's dishonest. In the global competitive index, 144 countries are assessed, one number 52 overall. But when it comes to employer-employee relations, South Africa is number 144, stone last. And the biggest factor that made us to be ranked at that level is the relationship of workers and employers in the mining industry. And the deodorants added a little bit of flavor to that. And I think the mining industry must wake up, sit up, think carefully what we can do. We can't have South Africa ranked number 144 in the world for employer-employee relations. As a worker, I know that how weak you are as an individual against your employer. Your employer pulls the strings. You can organize yourself into a union and at least balance out that relationship. But it is unequal. That's why even in the case of relationship, that section 189 that Sibanye have triggered doesn't stop employers from retrenching. All it says, please tick the boxes, do the formalities, but you have a right to retrench. So employers are more powerful in the employment relations, and they have a bigger relation. If you are committed, you can't select what you are committed in, what is good, sounding good to you. If you have the NDP sounding conservative when it comes to worker issues, then you welcome it. But when it comes to responsibility of ensuring that you work with the state and everybody to create jobs, fight poverty, fight inequality, you don't say any responsibility, you replace that with profit maximization. That is bad faith. I'm very happy that Amplats has revisited that exercise. Want to see the end of that exercise. But the fact that when we raised the issues, which was logical, they went back and reconsidered it, because you don't announce numbers even before you engage. You state your case, parties come together and begin to look into the case. You state your case, they debate, and you can determine the numbers. I always appreciate the fact that when the mining industry announce numbers, it will say 3,000 when it wants to retrench 1,500. And after negotiation, retrench 1,500. And everybody is excited that we've reduced the numbers from 3,000 to 1,500. To me, that is an old strategy. It will not work forever. The industry must come with the problem to the table. And I think in Sibanye, the main problem is fire underground. That is what the employer and the trade union must work on. Fight that fire, kill it, return operations to normality. Then if there's an impact, come back and say to the labor movement, listen, that fire has this impact on us. And we can't carry the load we're carrying because the impact of this fire is this. They don't say, they say there's still fire raging on. We're retrenching 3,000. Meaning that if that fire is still raging on, they will come back next week. No, it's not 3,000, it's actual 4,000.